forgot to tell the men in the room that we're going to quiz you after that, a little bit later. And now to talk about something that's a little bit more simple is male fertility. Unfortunately for us women, the male reproductive health and fertility preservation options are a little bit, I mean, the human body is still super complicated, but it costs on average about $800 for a man to freeze his sperm, and on average about $14,000 for a woman to preserve her fertility. And here's one of my favorite people in the whole entire universe, Dr. Cappy Rothman, to discuss this. He is the medical doctor and founding and one of the founders of California Cryobank, which is a world-renowned sperm bank, in case you're not aware of that. And they have adopted as their, truly as their social cause for their whole company, cancer and fertility. So they do all kinds of things to support our efforts, including provide reduced cryopreservation for egg freezing, embryo freezing, and sperm freezing. Cappy, take it away.
Thank you. Actually, we've adopted Alice and her cause. Also, I want to thank Andrea, who is here, who is really very helpful and very instrumental with Alice in providing everybody a place and also promoting Fertile Action. I wasn't supposed to give a talk, I was just going to be on a panel, and now that I saw Kareen's talk, I would like if we get that board up a little bit, maybe I could draw a picture about male anatomy. Most guys would think no. If I said words like seminal vesicle, prostate, would everybody be aware of what I was talking about? Yes. Okay.
No. Just gonna keep following you around with the microphone.
It's very schematic. Thank you. I'm just trying to take this part of it off, if I can. Okay, as Karina mentioned about eggs, it was interesting because a woman has 1 to 2 million eggs at puberty. A man has very few sperm at puberty, but after puberty, an average man's going to ejaculate over 400 million sperm per ejaculation. So there are really some incredible differences. I'd like somebody here to answer why 400 million sperm are necessary for one sperm to get to the egg. Because there's only one egg. But basically, sperm are produced in the testicle, thanks, and it takes 3 months for sperm to develop. But every day is the beginning of a new generation of sperm. So men have sperm all of the time. They could fertilize an egg, while a woman is only one time a month, basically 24 to 36 hours. Us guys are ready all of the time, anytime. But as sperm develop, anything that interferes with the man's health is going to interfere with the sperm count. And basically, when the sperm develop, they undergo some incredible changes. They go from a very large spermatogonium to a very small sperm. Another interesting fact is while the sperm is one of the smallest cells in the body, the egg is one of the largest cells in the body. See, we don't ask directions. We need something, a large target to get to. The distance a sperm travels in a woman is comparable from me running from here to Seattle. That's what the normal ejaculation from the cervix to the egg. When you get in vitro fertilization by itself, you're probably talking about San Francisco or north. ICSI is the right address at the right time. Sperm then spend the next 2 to 3 weeks within the epididymis. The epididymis is 20 feet of convoluted tubules compressed into less than 2 inches. At the moment of ejaculatory inevitability, sperm are transported rapidly up the vas. It is then mixed with secretions of the seminal vesicle and prostate. 98% of all of the fluid that comes out with an ejaculation come from the prostate and seminal vesicle. Less than 2% of it is sperm. And the very first portion of the ejaculation contains about 80 to 90% of the sperm. Another interesting anatomical fact where the men differ from the women, the fallopian tube is a relatively large tube, large lumen, small muscular wall. The vas deferens is the most muscular tube in the human body with a tiny lumen and a very thick muscular wall. So while the egg just lazily goes down the fallopian tube, sperm are shot out like a cannon. The sperm bank just didn't happen. It actually provides a service. I'm a urologist and I specialize in male infertility. In 1975, we did not have in vitro fertilization. We didn't even have intrauterine insemination. You probably don't remember that way back when. So if a couple was sitting across from me where the man was infertile, the woman would look at her husband with tears and anger and say, "Because I married you, I'll never be a mother." Ergo, the beginning of the California Cryobank working up donors. It was a good service, so it went from my office to the office building to basically Beverly Hills, Southern California, all of California, the United States. We now distribute 30,000 ampules of sperm every year all over the world. Every state in the United States and 28 countries outside the United States. I did make notes. I want to see if I forgot anything. Yes. We probably have so far in the last 30 years about 60,000 children, and I'm told that the children from donor sperm from the California Cryobank alone can fill up Madison Square Garden twice. To become a sperm donor is more difficult than getting into Harvard, MIT, or any university. You see, we accept 1 of 1,000 applicants. Harvard, 7 of 1,000. MIT, 10 of 1,000. And a sperm donor per minute gets paid more than, if this is he donates twice a week, then doctors, other professions, and if he gives 3 samples a week, he even earns more than an attorney. Yes. We have a donor, usually they're medical students. We have 6 locations. One of them is in LA, right across from UCLA. One of them is in Cambridge between MIT and Harvard. One of them is in Palo Alto across from Stanford, New York, where there are a lot of universities, and Indiana. Because everybody here has a choice of their mate. We want to give every woman who needs a donor sperm the choice of her donor. So we have a lot of ethnic diversity and a lot of different donors to pick from. And if anybody goes on the website of California Cryobank, it's really impressive. Basically, the long form of a donor is 42 to 50 pages long. I'm married 43 years. If my wife would look at any of the long profiles of any of the donors, she would know more about the donor than she does of me. So there's an awful lot of information, but we do limit the donor vials. And actually we're lucky enough to have Pamela Callan, one of our genetic counselors, and every month we have something AOR, which is an adverse reaction. So if any child is born with any question, or if a child develops and there's a question development, Pamela will actually get the AOR, and that donor is restricted until we find out, is it the donor or is it some other factor? Testicular cancer. When I started medicine in 1969, it was almost a terminal illness. Now, 95% of guys with testicular cancer are cured. What we recommend is that any young man with any cancer, testicular cancer, blood cancers, any cancer that's going to undergo chemotherapy and radiation therapy, give us some specimens to preserve so at some time in the future, if you want to have a child, you could use your own sperm. It's a lot easier for a man than it is for a woman. There's no anesthesia, there's no medication, it's just a very seductive room that we fondly call the masturbatorium. And once the sperm, let's take a biological cell, any biological cell. At room temperature, if one was to look through a microscope, there's just an incredible amount of activity in that cell. It really is. It's just busy. If you think LA Freeway is busy, look at a cell at room temperature. As you start to cool that cell and get down to temperatures of liquid nitrogen, which is minus 196 degrees centigrade or minus 321 degrees Fahrenheit, you put that cell in suspended animation and it will last forever. I don't want to define forever, but you probably take real warm time of 100 years and just, excuse me, real frozen time is 100 years to, well, anyway, it'll last for a long time. So I'm here to answer some questions, and I'm sure there's a lot of things I forgot because I was not informed I was going to be, other than my notes that I just made here. Any hints?
No, it's perfect.
Okay. Thank you.
You can see why he is a beloved human being. He is so funny and definitely breaks down fertility very simply for everyone. What you don't know is that I have 14 frozen embryos with a sperm donor from California Cryo Bank. So I affectionately refer to Cappy and his wife Beth as my first set of father and mother-in-law.